And you can find me right here on the Space Water Podcast on Exploring the Ka with Ra on YouTube. And we have various other platforms you can find me as well on Substack. Um, and I have several other YouTube channels as well. The Mystical Spiral Store channel, TMS Copper and Gemstones, where I feature all the items and the devices that I make, the talismans I make, the amulets that I make, crystal hand source crystal specimens, and very unique carvings that we make here at the Mystical Spiral Store, like skulls, beautiful smoky quartz right here. Look at that bad boy. Ooh, look at his third eye is glowing too. That's the rainbow right on the third eye. Check that out. If you want something like that custom made, you can get it at the mysticalspiralstore.com. Contact me for custom orders. We have tons of products available on the website already. But if you want a custom order, like something big like this, you can contact me privately at the Mystical Spiral Store. So let's see what we got here. Who's live? Oh my God, it's 5:20 in the morning. I was planning on doing this show last night, but a lot of things led up to me having to do with this morning. So you guys are in for a treat. Hopefully you guys are with me. We'll be doing this before my I got to finish before 7:20 because I have something else I got to do at 7:20. So we got 2 hours. We got 2 hours straight. This is going to be great. Guys, we're going to dive into some apocryphal texts and some of the translations that we have been mistranslating for hundreds and hundreds of years. And we're going to get into some of the correlations between cross-cultural correlations between Hindu deities even and some Christian apocryphal books that are just incredible. Hebrew and Christian apocryphal books. So buckle up, guys. We're about to dive into the sound of the light. This is the Space Water Podcast, and my name is Ra Castaldo. Glad you guys are here. Who's with me in the chat room? What's up, Mika in the chat room? TMS Copper and Gemstones. You guys can subscribe in the chat room. Our moderator today, that's my second channel. And what's up, Shannon in the chat room? Shannon Martin, welcome. Shannon Martin 7325. I think that's just YouTube that gives you that number afterwards. You guys know, if you guys go to your on YouTube, if you want to get rid of that number at the end of your name, go onto YouTube on a laptop or a desktop. I don't know if you could do it on the regular app. And then somewhere where you edit your name, you could see it. You could edit that number out if you guys want to get that out of there. But what's up, Shannon? Welcome in the chat room. Glad you guys are here. Please like and subscribe if you like my work and you want to support my work. You also could find me on various other podcasts that I've been featured on recently. I was just on the Tinfoil Hat podcast with Sam Tripoli. I was on the Typical Skeptic podcast with Robert Khalil, the host. The Kurt Metzger podcast. I did a podcast with Maria Wheatley, Megalithic Monday recently as well. So you guys can check me out. I've all those Derp with the Kurt podcast is the Kurt Metzger one. Sam Tripoli podcast is called the Tinfoil Hat podcast, and Typical Skeptic podcast. I've been on those all recently. And you can find all that posted on my Patreon and everything like that as well. Welcome in the chat room, Jimmy Satterfield. You guys can also support me right here in the super chat. You'll get a shout out. You guys can ask questions. We might even do a few readings for you guys if you want. Put it in the super chat later on in the show. Welcome, David Von Valet 193. Welcome, and Jimmy Satterfield. Blessings to you as well. Blessings to you as well. Glad you guys are here. Glad you guys are here for sure. So, being this early in the morning too, I'm glad you guys are here with me, and we're gonna take a wild ride this morning. You guys are gonna find some things that you've probably never heard or seen before, and a new way of looking at some of these writings. But in my opinion, it really isn't a new way. I'm helping rediscover some of the original ballpark translations of some of these writings that we've been mistranslating, and symbols that we've been mistranslating and misusing for many, many years. Now, for you, if you guys are new to my work, if you're new to some of the terminology that I use, uh, you're gonna have to. I try to break it down so somebody, even if you don't have a background in mythology or astrophysics or plasma physics, you're going to be able to somewhat understand most of what I'm talking about. But it does help if someone has a basic understanding of some mythology, um, as well, because but I will try to break it down as simple as possible when I explain some things. But it does help if someone has a basic experience, like knowledge of some symbols and some deities and things like that. So in in Hindu and in Sanskrit, you have various forces that are cross cultural that I've been pointing out, right? And then in Hindu, you have more in Hindu than in Sanskrit, and then in the Vedas, the earlier is Garuda talked about, and the Naga, right? Even Buddhists talk about Garuda and the Naga. Even Thailand talks about the Garuda, right? We're gonna get into the symbology with this first, and then we're gonna get into how I'm translating some of the second book of Esdras, which is an apocryphal book. So if you guys don't know who Garuda is an eagle deity, right? He's a solar deity, but an eagle deity, right? And this is incredible, really incredible, right? We're gonna get into how Garuda is basically a species of magnetospheres that are protectors of planetary systems, and they are not just a shield, but it's a living entity and a magnetic gateway and transport and vehicle for souls and for the quote unquote gods, right? The messages of the gods, right? And they perfectly, vividly describe the way the sun interacts with the magnetic field around our planet for life to exist, right? In all of these mythologies. And ultimately, the Vedas is a celestial waters cosmology, and different so called gods or energies that are born from these waters. And they they bring you on this interesting journey through allegories and metaphors that is just incredible, right? And Garuda is like this typically he's described as a divine eagle, right? A large eagle-like bird, and he's a vehicle for some of the gods like Vishnu, and a sworn enemy of who we're going to discuss today as well, these serpent-like energies called the Nagas. And it's kind of primitive, I think, or archaic even now, to think of the Nagas as some kind of reptilian hybrid humanoid. I do believe there are energies and entities like that that do exist. They can even form like that out of the light. But in this context, most of the Naga in these stories are representing solar emissions, magnetic field lines, Birkeland currents, which we'll get into. And this is basically magnetic energies that flow like snakes through the celestial waters. And this is exactly where the Nagas come from. Nagas are these powerful, sometimes even chaotic, destructive forces that are associated with celestial water, not just water, celestial water. People tend to misunderstand that, right? And so when they're associated with the underworld, they're associated with this raw, untamed power, right? And they're uh, perfectly representing the relentless flow of charged particles and energies that flow along the solar wind and magnetic field lines that result in Birkeland currents, and they emanate from the sun. Now, in the ancient writings and in Hindu writings, Garuda and the Naga share the same parents on the father side, the solar side. They're a solar race, right? They're literally a solar species. Magnetic field lines and plasmas, right? They're both born from the same father that they call the ultimate sage Kashyapa, right? Kashyapa is not a human sage. He's like a sun god, but he's not technically a sun god. He's the one that he's the father to the sun gods. He's the father to Vishnu. He's the father to Garuda, and he's the father to the Naga, right? He's the a creative force of the sun. That's what Kashyapa ultimately is. These are not so-called being gods like the way we're thinking of them as people. These are suns, stars, cosmic forces that give birth to energies that are the children of the gods. So when you see a main deity in most of mythology, they represent uh, a massive celestial force like a sun, a galaxy, a star, a star system, right? Nebulas, comets, different things, right? And then when you have like children of the gods or attendants of the gods like fairies and nymphs, and then you have certain children of the gods, these are the structures and the objects or things that are that emanate from these huge gods or celestial forces. So you'll have like a sun, and things that the sun emit will be the children of the sun, like coronal mass ejections, solar wind, magnetic field lines, things like this, and various forces that we call that are related to it, like Birkeland currents and things like this. All the stuff that we label different names. These are like different species that are related to the gods, right? So the Naga and Garuda are at constant war, but they're also share the same origin, right? So the Naga is like the magnetic solar wind versus the Garuda magnetosphere, which they're both born from the same thing. Our magnetosphere gets its plasma from the sun, as same as the magnetic field lines, and they merge with Earth's magnetic field lines, right? So it's perfectly describing how both our magnetosphere's plasma and the plasma from the solar wind share the same origin, right? And they're at war with each other. And they also, at times, Garuda even consumes some of the Naga, some of the solar missions. It's perfectly vividly describing it. It's describing the dynamic struggle between the sun's emission and Earth's magnetosphere. And these are described in mythological conflicts that are relaying this powerful, persistent serpent Naga force against a powerful, protective avian deity, an entity that's that's their species, cosmic species of plasma, magnetic field lines that carry these plasmas, right? And Garuda is an avian type entity because it's a transport, right? And it's a shield with its wings, various symbolism that's perfect for that. Now, he's he's a eagle like bird, but he's a Vishnu vehicle, right? And Vishnu is a sun god. He's a vehicle for the sun, and he's a sworn enemy of the Nagas, and he's a protector. He's a celestial guardian. He's a force that brings order or control to chaos. And that's exactly what happens within our magnetosphere. You have a chaotic region that forms. We have whirling vortexes of plasma. The whole night side of the magnetosphere can look at as a place of chaos, right? This is what forms the auroras and where magnetic reconnection events happen. Now, what forms these magnetic reconnection events is the Naga forces, right? You have these coronal mass ejections and the solar wind as it comes and goes into our magnetic field. It enters into the sun side of our magnetic field, of course, right? Our sun side is first. So it enters into the sun side. And as it enters into our night side magnetosphere, it stretches out the magnetic field lines on our night side, right? And they stretch out and they snap and then reconnect. This is what forms the auroras. It's called magnetic reconnection. It's one of the most powerful and important events that happens on a regular basis within our magnetosphere. And after it happens, it's chaos, and then order is brought to that chaos, and it's dipole stabilization. It's stabilized, right? It the struggle between the Naga and Garuda perfectly mirrors the role of the magnetosphere, and it acts as a shield, but it's also it's 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 like deflecting like a lot of that solar onslaught, and it's also ingesting some of it, right? And bringing order to the chaos. And it's a transport for souls. Garuda and the Garuda Purana, he's a transport, just like the Benu bird of Egyptian, right? So we're gonna get into this deep tonight. Let's see who else is in the chat room real quick. We got Jimmy Satterfield. What's up, buddy? What's up, Mika? That's our moderator tonight. Wifey's in the house. We got this morning, actually. We got Shannon. We got yeah. You could get rid of those digits. Just go into YouTube, because I remember when that happened like a couple of years back. It was like 2 years ago, when all of a sudden one day my YouTube channel had digits after it. I was like, where are these numbers coming from? Yeah, the airline in Indonesia is called Garuda. Yeah. I mean, we're going to get into even the spot Angkor Wat, which is basically a temple that is it's a model of a solar city, right? Which is related to our magnetosphere and where the transport of souls to these areas, right? Angkor Wat is one of those temples that guides souls into our magnetosphere, into our magnetic shield, and gateways into our magnetic shield, magnetic portals. They transport souls to the sun side, where there's magnetic gateways. They called flux transfer events. Now, we're going to get into this as well. These are magnetic portals that open up on our night side magnetosphere. And this is very interesting information, because there's not too many people in the world that has the background of both plasma physics and mythology to be able to show you guys the comparison. Now, in plasma physics, there's a process that's called sunward convection, right? So when I previously just explained how these magnetic reconnection events happen in our night side magnetosphere that create the auroras. Now, when that happens, sometimes some plasmas are sent from the are snap back when those magnetic field lines stretch out and then snap and then reconnect. From that snap back process, some of the plasmas get catapulted to the sun side. Now, this isn't just random. It can't be, because the same area they get catapulted on the sun side of our magnetosphere is called the magnetopause boundary on the sun side. That magnetopause boundary is where these magnetic portals open up in the same window period between 5 and 20 minutes. They stay open for the same window that it takes for those plasmas to get catapulted from the night side to the sun side. It takes between 5 and 15 minutes, right? That same amount of time as these portals open up. They're called transient magnetic portals, or transient FTEs, flux transfer events, because they're magnetic flux ropes and magnetic flux. They're magnetic portals that open up from the sun to earth and from the earth back to the sun, vice versa, for short window periods. So you have a light being or light body or soul or some type of light being or plasma or higher density than us. They can literally get travel from our magnetosphere, our magnetic field, back into the sun through these magnetic portals. And from our sun, there's also plasma funnels and tunnels that go to other star systems. So it's an interconnected highway of magnetic gateways that plasmas or light bodies or light souls can travel through. Right? It's really incredible. Yeah, the sun and the serpent. When you see the eagles and the serpents, these are all discussing how life exists. You need the eagle and the serpent to have harmony on a planet. You need the eagle of the sun and the serpent of the sun, the magnetic field lines and the plasmas and planet and magnetospheres, right? They're all represented in the eagle and the serpent. When the Garuda's in the sky, the serpents will rise, right? That's the song that I wrote from years ago. When the Garuda's in the sky and the serpents will rise, right? So you need the Garuda and the Naga to be at a constant balance of struggle. This is the same struggle between Ra and Apophis, right? This is the same struggle between Gilgamesh and the dragon. This is the same struggle between Bel and the dragon. This is the same struggle as Indra and Vitra. This is the same struggle as Tiamat and Marduk, right? I could go on. You got Michael and the dragon. You got Bel and the dragon, right? All these different stories. It's the same struggle. You even got in Ugaritic, you got Anath and Baal and Mot that go through a similar journey to the underworld, and Inanna and Ishtar, right? They go in journey into the night side of the magnetosphere where these magnetic reconnection events happen, and it's ruled by chaos gods, right? It's really incredible, and we've lost the true meaning to these sacred writings several times, many times in our history. And it seems once they start reemerging, like through me and a few others out there, like they are now, shortly thereafter, we lose the knowledge again, right? Right as our world is starting to unveil certain truths, it's also at the most chaos, right? And this is happening all throughout our history. So I'm not discovering anything. I'm rediscovering what our ancestors already intimately, evocatively mapped out for us in metaphors, and these metaphors and allegories of Garuda and Naga, they're effectively communicating that cosmic struggle, the immense energies that are involved, and how the protective outcome of Garuda, it allows life to flourish on Earth, right? And the Naga and the Garuda, I mean, it's it's a it's almost like the most incredibly precise and fitting metaphor you can make, so you can remember a story to describe how the interaction between the solar emissions, the sun, the Birkeland currents, as we call them now, and a planetary magnetosphere for life to exist. Even the shared origin of their parents, of their father, right? And it's scientifically accurate, and also showing the energetic effect of life, the spiritual aspect of it as well. It's really incredible. Yeah, they have in these stories, the Naga and Garuda, they're both a solar race, right? They're both a solar race. I mean, you look at the context, and both the solar wind plasma, which is the Naga, and the Earth's magnetosphere, which is Garuda, as a protective magnetic field and portal of our planet, they ultimately derive their energy and existence from solar or stellar processes, right? Related to our sun's activity. And in Hindu literature, that's perfectly accurate, right? Garuda and the Naga are indeed described as having the same parents, right? Like I mentioned earlier, it's this sun sage, this creator Kashyapa, right? And his wives are Vinata, who was the mother of Garuda, and Kudra, which was his other wife, which was the mother of the Naga, right? So this is describing their solar origin. They're a solar race, right? It's incredible. It's incredible, right? And they're just describing this daily dynamic struggle, and it's Garuda's this superior avian adversary of these serpent-like celestial water nagas, right? And some of these nagas are huge. They go on for thousands of miles, right? Because you have like Sesha or Ananta, right? Some of them are related to like our magnetotail, like Vitra with Indra and Elapatra. I mean, these are huge magnetic fields, right? Huge uh pools of plasma in some aspects, right? That are surrounded by serpents, right? So it's incredible, right? And our magnetosphere on the night side, it stretches out for many, many, many times the Earth. It's huge, right? And it's a living, breathing entity. It's a gateway, and it's and even NASA has been proving some of my findings, even some of the things that have been found, that these magnetic portals open up, and even Garuda, one of the main parts of my work is my findings about birdsong being related to the electron driven chorus. In fact, I inspired researchers at NASA. They didn't give me the credit. They said researchers had led people at NASA to look into birdsong being related to the electron driven chorus, when in fact it was me that came up with that years back, right? And I've been the only I was the only one in any of these communities that were talking about that, right? So and I could prove it. I have the receipts. So in 2025, NASA announced that uh, plasma physicists at NASA, uh, other researchers led them to look into this. It said they didn't give me the name, but I was the one doing videos about this, and I shared it with people at I emailed people related to NASA. So definitely, you know, uh, I wanted to be recognized. If I would have been a someone who that had an esteemed job. Like I have a senior undergraduate level in plasma physics, but I don't have like a huge status in plasma physics, and I come like from the street too as well. So like I'm not the kind of person that they want to put out there and say that, like, give the credit to. So, but yeah, I had a revelation about that years ago with the electron driven chorus being right in mythology, and how it's related to birdsong. And the birds are broadcasting what's in the magnetic field. I mean, they're intuitively know what's in the magnetic field, and they can instinctively they hear the the sounds that we only can pick up through certain instruments and magnetometers and stuff like that, right? But all the magnetite within the birds, and they navigate along with the magnetic field, and they intuitively can hear the whistles and the knocks and the chorus that's coming out of the plasma waves around Earth. Especially, it's the electron chorus of dawn. It happens right before the sun rises, and this is when the birds come out and do those special calls, an hour before sunrise. Right now they're doing it outside. So it's Garuda being this avian bird like being as well. That's directly another metaphor related to uh what's going on in the magnetosphere, right? Because you have this these chirping chorus emissions, right? And the chirping chorus emissions The bird avian reference of Garuda aligns with the electron chorus waves that sound like bird calls in our magnetosphere. And Garuda, I mean, he's consuming these Naga as well, right? They're literally describing the day side blocking and the magnetotail ingestion of the Naga, of the plasma, right? The magnetosphere blocks the solar wind and on the day side, right? But it pulls in the plasma into the magnetosail on the night side, right? And this is the consuming of the Naga. This is the consuming part of Garuda, right? And he's neutralizing the threat, basically, right? Yeah, it's really incredible. And it's there's a synchronicity with just incredible scientific observations that we've only just made in the last few years in some cases, right? And from the shared solar origin that they have to the electron driven chorus bird chirping sound of the chorus waves and the dynamics of the magnetotail, they're all being described within the Naga and Garuda battle, right? And this is described also in the second book of Esdras that we're going to get into tonight, right? This is a big part of my book is Garuda, some species of Garuda and some species of Naga. Like you have one of the biggest species of Garuda in our solar system, and that's the Jovian Garuda, the magnetosphere of Jupiter, right? A huge entity. And the difference between that Garuda and our Garuda around Earth is that the Jovian Garuda gets most of its plasma from a volcanic moon, Io or Io, right? Not from the sun. So this is not getting its plasma directly from the star. It's getting its plasma from a volcano, a volcanic moon. Very interesting Garuda that you have around Jupiter, the Jovian Garuda, right? Jupiter. Very interesting. And there's a whole species of these Garudas throughout the cosmos. For any, even for life to exist, you have to have a certain magnetosphere, right? And think about what we're living in. Like our planet forms this giant magnetic field around it, and we're spinning inside this giant magnetic field. And there's plasmas and all sorts of electrons and particles being injected into this magnetic field from the sun, from the solar wind, right? Some of them at incredible amounts of speeds, like CMEs coming at you, right? Rocking the magnetic field, shaking it to its foundation, right? So all of that is essentially like living in a giant CERN, a hadron collider. Like that's what CERN essentially is. CERN's a magnetic field that they're injecting particles into and slamming them together, right? Instead of us slamming these particles together like a hadron collider where we're having these magnetic reconnection events, so very, very similar types of things going on, right? Just us living on a planet that is inside of a magnetic field like that is simply incredible in itself, right? So all of these stories are explaining the intricacies of how life exists between the sun, our magnetic field, and Earth, and where we fit in our solar system and the universe, right? So the deities are not people; they're related to aspects of the sun. Most deities in Sanskrit and in the Vedas and in Hindu are solar deities or aspects of the sun, right? Different aspects to the sun and different aspects to the sun's effect on the magnetosphere on the sun side and the night side. The night side is the underworld in ancient writings. The other world or the underworld, right? That's the night side, the underworld, right? So when they're journeying into the underworld, they're journeying into the night side of the magnetosphere, right? And this is they're going into the realms of chaos where all the magnetic reconnection events are transpiring, and these are all rivers of rivers of light, rivers of plasma, right? So when you see like the afterlife of the river Styx and all these different rivers of Acheron and all these different rivers of Mnemosyne in Greek and all these different ones in Greek and same in Vedic. You have the Rasa River, you have the Saraswati River, you have the Ravana, you have all these different rivers, right? And these rivers are celestial rivers. Some of them are rivers outside of the magnetosphere. Some of them are rivers within our magnetosphere. And we have 7 main regions within our magnetosphere where these rivers of plasma flow. These are the 7 rivers of Indra. And Indra has to pierce the magnetotail, the Vitra, the dragon that swallows the light of Indra. And once he pierces the belly, that's the chaos. He's piercing the magnetotail to release the auroras, the life-giving waters to the planet, right? And it's the same story with Naga and Garuda, right? Garuda's swallowing the serpent, right? It's a very similar story, right? And it's a very similar struggle. It's just describing that cosmic struggle, the daily struggle that has to happen for the sun to rise once again and for life to exist the way it does. It's really incredible, and I have not just scientific evidence, but all sorts of symbology, all sorts of mythological evidence. So it's really incredible. You know, the solar wind, which and the Birkeland currents, right? The Birkeland currents are those rivers that flow in our magnetosphere as well, right? And they're related all to the Naga, right? And the magnetosphere is this protective Garuda being, and the Naga, they're these powerful serpents that align with that flowing snake-like nature of our solar wind and our magnetic field lines. And Nagas are usually associated with the underworld, Patala, right? Patala is a region of celestial waters, and it's an underworld. And this is the flow of plasma in space and the night side of the magnetosphere. Patala, when they're entering in Patala, they're entering into the night side of our magnetic gateway, right? Where rivers of light exist. And the Garuda is a transport. It's a magnetosphere is a gateway, a magnetic portal that holds whirling vortex inside of it. And he's this sworn enemy, right, of these serpent beings, right? And he's this protective avian entity that's protecting from solar attacks, right? And he's a solar being as well. And Garuda sometimes shown with the Naga, the snakes in his talons, and these talons are these looped, right? They're like looped, and they're holding the snake, and it's this is all related to coronal mass ejections and the magnetospheres, these crooked loops, right? All of that is incredible symbolism. And that the fact that they have that they're a solar race and they share the same parents. I mean, how can that be coincidence? That can't be a coincidence. It's incredible, right? So, like I mentioned earlier, the Nagas are born from their mother is Kadru, and Garuda's mother is Vinata, but they share the same father. The solar, the he's a solar. He creates sun gods. The sage Kashyapa, right? He creates sun gods, and they're describing the solar emissions of plasma and the magnetosphere plasma ultimately originating from the sun. They both they're both, the solar emissions, that plasma and the magnetosphere plasma, they're both coming from coming from the sun. They're both a solar race. Different species of plasma and plasma entities that ultimately derive from their solar father, right? And the magnetotail is basically like a giant naga within the Garuda. That Garuda that's inside of the Garuda. The Garuda like consumes these nagas as well. And the idea of the magnetotail as this gigantic naga itself is described throughout cross-cultural, right? You have Apophis, you have Tiamat, They're these coiled serpents that are coiled around Earth, and they have to stretch out. This it perfectly. It can't be anything else, my people. It perfectly mirrors the great visualization of the night side magnetosphere and how it stretches out. It's a gigantic coiled serpent that stretches out, right? And it's a massive stretched out serpent like Ananta or Shesha, right? Who coils and supports the cosmic ocean in the mythology, right? How incredible is that? Right? You have this giant coiled serpent that's described as supporting the cosmic ocean. So Garuda and this, even like the serpent Shesha, Garuda is sort of like an Atlas type being. He's holding the world on his wings, on his shoulders, right? So Atlas is a magnetosphere type god as well in Greek, right? He's literally holding the world on his shoulders, right? Protector of the world, right? And he holds the waters, right? And this is what the serpent Shesha actually does as well. And that is related to the cosmic ocean that he holds in the magnetotail. It perfectly fits the magnetotail, which extends far out into space on the night side and holds the celestial waters, right? And using the underworld like Patala as a metaphor for the night side is incredibly accurate, right? It's powerful. And this underworld is a place of darkness, the night side, right? It's described as having these powerful, chaotic, hidden forces, unseen hidden forces. Perfect. Check that off. That's place of darkness. Check the night side. Powerful, hidden, chaotic forces. Check. They have these dynamic and sometimes not even visible processes that occur on this dark side. Perfect. All describing perfectly, right? And the beautiful dynamic interaction between the 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 solar emissions, the Birkeland currents, and our planetary magnetosphere. It's perfect, and it's also it aligns with the Dragon Slayer mythologies, right? Like I mentioned before, like Apophis versus Ra, and all of those, right? And the coiled serpent, it's cross cultural. I mean, I could get out some diagrams and pictures that I'll show you where they have Apophis described the same way, and he's coiled up and he's stretched out, right? That's all plasma physics, and it's describing the dynamics of our magnetosphere. It's really incredible, actually, really incredible. Now I'm going to show you guys some of the correlations and that we have with Garuda right in apocryphal books of the Bible, like the second book of Esdras, which was originally in the Bible and was taken out because these books are called hidden or apocryphal because they hold hidden sacred knowledge, right? This is why they're called apocryphal, because they're very hidden. They're hidden for a reason, right? They're hidden for a reason, these books. And the second book of Esdras has some incredible information in there that aligns with solar events and the dynamics of our magnetosphere and how solar storms affect them. Right, it's described intimately in the second book of Esdras. Right, and uh, even how they describe in Egypt and in, like, you'll see in Egypt and in Hindu and in Vedic, right? You'll see uh, a golden hooded cobra, right? So that hooded cobra, that golden, how the cobra has that hood on it, a cobra when he's erect upright, it's like a hooded golden cobra. That is like how the magnetic field lines. This is a hooded golden cobra. The golden cobra, how it has the hood just like that, and he's rising from the sun. right? This is a coronal mass ejection, and it's magnetic field lines that are forming and twisting to form this loop. So when you see those cobras, like even like right here, they have a hooded cobra rising from the sun right there. And that hooded cobra and these arms of the sun are handing down those loops, right? This is that hooded cobra that rises from the sun, people. It's right there, a two-dimensional diagram for us to remember and see. Thousands of years before we figured it out. In our modern times. How many times has it been lost? Right? That hooded cobra on the sun is what's rising from the sun. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible. And it's so simple once you can see. But see, we needed advanced instruments to be able to see this plasma and detect it. The sages of the past, our ancestors, were the shaman, the priests, the priest warriors of the ancient world. They were intuitively tapping in to on a there's a worldwide culture, I believe, that was connected to our sun and our universe on a much deeper level than we are now. And they understood and were tapping into these universal laws and structures that form to effectively transmit and broadcast the light, right? So you got stars that need to be send the light to their planetary systems, right? So, and you have nebulas and galaxies and all these things. There's similar structures that form within the plasma throughout the universe to effectively channel and stream the light, right? So those structures and symbols are shown, and there was a much higher active solar sky, like a much active sun, probably post ice age and things like that, where the people of the ancient world were seeing solar events, and the shaman of the world and it emerged in their symbols and their petroglyphs and their writings, right? And to remember it, they had to give these stories and give them very earthly attributes and names and situations to be able to remember them through oral tradition and pass them down. And over time, people forget what they really mean, right? And they become more earthly related. But most of them are describing the dynamics of our sun, right? These are solar mythologies we're describing here, people, right? These are solar mythologies, most of them. All the ones that I'm bringing up, they're all solar mythologies. They're all related to our earth and our sun and the worship of and events that happened. And the hooded golden cobra is a symbol for the crooked flame of the sun, the golden hood of plasma, the magnetic field lines that literally hold the light within it, the golden hooded cobra, the ankh of the CME. That's all incredible. And so when you have I'll grab this. Maybe I should pull it up on here too. The second book of Ezra. So you guys can get. I got a few copies. Let me get the other. I'm gonna have to go to the other room to get the actual book of it. I don't think I do have it here. Oh yeah, I have so you guys can get like different apocrypha books. Like this is the apocrypha. This has all the different apocryphal books in it. Or you could just get like a book that just has the book of Esdras, right? So we have in our Bible, in the regular canon, we have the first book of Esdras. But the second book of Esdras, also sometimes called the fourth book of Esdras, is an apocryphal book. It was taken out of the Bible, right? And they're called secret books or hidden books for a reason, the apocryphal books. And in the original King James version, the second book, these a lot of these, like a lot of these like the Wisdom of Solomon and the first book of the Maccabees and the second book of Esdras and Ecclesiasticus. Those were originally in the original King James version, but then after time, I think I don't know, it was later in the 1600s that it was taken out. But they were originally in there, and they're some of the hidden books for a reason, right? Because they hold some of the secrets in there. Welcome, Missing Time 420, right? So we're gonna look at the second book of Esdras and how I'll show you that Garuda, the Magnetosphere, as a Garuda, is also relayed in the second book of Esdras. It's incredible. You have this eagle that spreads its wings over the earth, and this solar storm that comes. And later on in the same, later on in the verse, you have this. Literally, it seems like it's describing a solar storm that strips the planet of its magnetic field and incinerates things on the planet. Incredible, right? And that's what would happen if there was a massive coronal. I mean, beyond the Carrington event. I mean, a massive a cannibal coronal mass ejection, something that is such a solar discharge, an event that it can strip, even if it's temporarily, it could strip our planet of its magnetic field, right? This would annihilate our planet as we know it, right? And it might restabilize and the magnetic field might reconnect and form again, but for a short second, it would do so much damage that life on Earth would be like incinerated. It would boil, right? It would be irradiated. It would be mass, and it would that everything would be shook into the core. That earthquake, like the magnetic field, everything from that being stripped. I believe that it's related to earthquakes bringing volcanism, and that volcanism would bring tsunamis and all of that. It would be a worldwide event, right? And it would bring just destruction, because once our magnetic field is rocked like that, it would shake our planet to its core, and I believe it would trigger volcanism in various areas, right? And all these areas where high volcanoes are, like a lot of volcanic areas, is also some of the most sacred areas for temples, right? The megalithic builders of the past built some of the most important megalithic temples in volcanic regions for a reason. This is how new earth is birthed up and starts over again, right? The new life rises up out of the sea, right? And it all starts and it is triggered by the sun, the music that's coming from the sun that's rocking the planet. And certain temples were built related to these energies, like uh, Borobudur in Indonesia, right? That's related to that. And even is Angkor Wat in a Angkor Wat is related to that either, but is Angkor Wat in a volcanic region? I'm not sure about that. It might be, but I know Borobudur is a huge volcanic region, and I got to look it up though. Let me see. No, I don't think it's. I don't think it has. It's pretty flat over there. Let me see if it has volcanic. No, but I know. I don't think. I don't think but I know Borobudur. Angkor Wat to me has to do with guiding souls back into the sun. That's another place that I wanted to talk to about, and it's related to Garuda and all of that as well. They have Garuda all over those temples, right? Angkor Wat is a solar city, a model of a solar city, and a solar city of the afterlife. It's the mother of all temples. If you guys have ever seen what Angkor Wat is, really incredible in Cambodia. And it's very similar to like Indian temples too. Very similar, right? Yeah. Wow. Yeah, the lava tubes, really incredible, right? But it's basically like a Hindu temple, uh, and it's in Cambodia, right? Which is very interesting. And I think it's older than 900 years. They say it's 900 years old, but I think there were structures there that was much older than that. And then that king, Surya Varman, is the Surya Varman was the king that I think was is credited to erecting it, and I think it took like over 30 years, 30 something years to build the temple. They say. Uh, I mean, it's pretty incredible. But you guys, maybe I'll pull up a picture of it. I don't know what pictures I could use on YouTube, but it's it's really incredible. I mean, it's like these conical structures, right? And there's almost all of it, all these, it's inlaid with all this art, like, and it's describing the 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 actions of the gods, like the churning of the ocean, and that's the celestial ocean. Now, many people attribute that to the Milky Way, and I don't think that's it. With the angels and the demons pulling to churn the ocean, that has to do with magnetic reconnection in our magnetosphere and how souls are guided into that. And I think it does have to do with celestial forces, but I think we're guessing here. A lot of people are guessing that it has to do with that, and they're not really finding the details that really what they're showing, because like through scholarship alone, you're not going to find these answers. It's through, you have to know the scholarship part, but it's through living your life and meditation and doing certain things where the universe starts speaking to you, right? So you have to have both the spiritual side and the scholarship side fused together, and the creative force within you, and then and then you start seeing, the universe starts speaking to you and starts showing you things, right? And Garuda is shown, I think, like grabbing the serpent on the edge of a mountain, right? This is that and these these temples, the way they're built, they're like magnetic mountains, right? And that's exactly how our North Pole is, the entrance way into our planet, right? It's like a conical, invisible magnetic mountain, a Mount Olympus, right? Or a Mount Meru, like in Hindu, right? And these are the structures that the temple is modeled after. And it's modeled to guide the soul up that spine, right? That gateway through the North Pole and into the night side of the magnetosphere. Right? These are the gateways to find the celestial rivers to the afterlife. And that's indeed what this temple is about guiding souls, and about you know guiding the sound of the light to the appropriate coordinates, right? And it's about Vishnu riding on Garuda, right? This is about the Apsaras of Angkor Wat, right? The Apsaras are featured all throughout Angkor Wat temples. Right? What are the Apsaras? I've talked about it before on my shows. The Apsaras are born from the plasma, right? They're born from the apis. That's where they get their name from. Apis is another word for plasma, but in Vedic, in ancient Sanskrit, right? Apis stands for celestial waters. In our modern times, that translates to plasma, right? That's what the plasma is. It's a flowing celestial water, a flowing celestial light, flowing celestial dust and winds, right? They're all different plasma entities. And you have apsaras, which are specific cosmic dancers of plasma. They are born from the churning ocean of the milk, right? They're born from magnetic reconnection events and the pulling and twisting of magnetic field lines. They are born just like the jinn. They're like a smokeless fire. They're born from the waters, and the ocean of milk that is usually described as the Milky Way. It's described also as a chaotic, churning galactic medium, right, or interstellar medium, and it's the apsaras are these plasma entities, these charged dancing gases, right? And they're born through energetic processes, right? They're the essence of an ionized environment of plasma, and they're essentially energetic fluid entities, right? And that's exactly how they're described, right? They're these nymphs of the air, right? And they're they're described as beings of clouds and beings of water, and they're considered companions of the Gandharvas, right? These spirits of the air and of music, of sound of the light, right? Just like we are right here at the Space Water Podcast, where we dive into the sound of the light, we dive into the sound of the Gandharvas, right? That's exactly what that is, right? And we dive into that sound of the light. They are described as these beings of water, beings of cloud, and they're companions of the spirits of the light, the spirits of the air, and the spirits of the light, the music of the air, the music of the celestial space, right? And there are also these ionospheric like plasma orbs and blobs, right? They're these dancing structures in the upper atmosphere, sprites. They're all related to these. They're all different species of plasma, and they mimic the behavior of the apsaras. That how they appear in the sky as these dancing structures, right? It's related to the auroras as well, right? And magnetospheric waves, right? They dance, right? The dance, as they describe in the Vedas, they dance before the throne of Indra, and they're associated with creating or guiding stars, right? And that's describing this dance that they're describing of the apsaras all over the Angkor Wat temple as well, is the dance of the plasma waves and their instabilities, right? They're describing that perfectly. They're these intricate movements of the apsaras. There are these what they describe as like the Kelvin Helmholtz waves, right? Or even the magnetic reconnection of waves that happen at the magnetopause. There are other dancing waves. There's different apsaras there in the Vedas as well, and in the Hindu writings. They have different classes of the apsaras. There's different groups of them, so they're different dancing waves of plasma, and these streams move past each other, and they have collective behavior though as well, and they have dancing boundaries, right? And they're turbulent forces as well. And you also have these other ones that could be these star forming regions in nebula, right? Those are all like in Egyptian, they have these what they call the boat of millions of years. That is like a nebula, millions of years of plasma. It's literally a boat, a floating boat of plasma, right? That is a boat of millions of years, right? And so you can look at a nebula or something like that as a boat of millions of years, and that's exactly the context that we're talking about in these ancient symbols as well. They're talking about celestial star deities and holding temples of millions of years,
right? So, I mean, the context is perfect. The description is perfect. That's called evidence. And plasma flows are apsaras. They accumulate into these dense filament structures, right? Really incredible. Really incredible. And they give birth to stars in some stories, right? Oh, you guys don't forget you could support my work right here in the super chat. Even in 99 cents, $1.99 really helps. And you could donate towards my work, and you could even contribute to my work if you sign up at my Patreon. I put all my research. I put book recommendations up on my Patreon that is related to some of the because most of the books that I have are related to mythology and translating of ancient writings. So a lot of the ancient writings that I've been describing are the first translations that came out, was a lot of them from the Society of Biblical Archaeology, and they put out like the books called the Records of the Past and Society of Biblical Archaeology. So you could get like all these books are from like the 1800s. Like this one is 1887, September 1887. This is Records of the Past, Volume 6. These are all different records of the past books here, and the transactions of the Society of Biblical Archaeology. You could get a lot of these stories. So this is from 1877 reprint. And this one has the story of Bel and the dragon right at the beginning, with the flaming sword that twists and turns every way. Right? That's describing a coronal mass ejection and how it's slaying the magnetotail. It's really incredible. Really incredible. And Bel is a sun god, and he's slaying the dragon. Right? So the sun and the magnetosphere, it's not a stretch. It's perfect. Right? And I'll get that back in later. So it's not like I'm making it fit. And that's why you can't use AI to do your research for you, because the AI will make things fit for you. Right? You can trick the AI, and it will mostly agree with most of your theories if you word it the right way. So you can't use, and because I see a lot of people that are trying to become like experts on plasma physics overnight, and I see what they're doing out there. Right? So you don't I could show my progression over the last 30 years of how I uncovered this knowledge. So a lot of times I'm seeing people out there emerging, and they're talking about how they teach plasma all of a sudden after over the last year or so. They've all of a sudden they've never talked about the word before in their life, and then all of a sudden in the last year they're experts. It's only because of this technology that's out now. So it's unfortunate because it's not giving you the truth, all of it. It's giving you a conglomeration that's been posted on the internet about the topic, and it will agree with you with most things if you try to make it work. So you can't do it. You have to put in the real work to really understand what's going on, right? And it takes time, right? But it's not through scholarship alone either. It's not just reading the ancient writings. It's understanding them on an energetic level as well, because these ancient writings are not just describing history. They're describing the energetic effect of celestial events on life, on physical life, right? And it's beautifully laid out. And there's a reason why they call it solar mythology. It's because it's divine information about the sun and how the sun works, and for life to exist on planetary systems like like the planet we live on. And the apsaras are these in my opinion, they're these dancing plasma entities, right? The dancers of the sky, dancers of the celestial landscape. And they come from the Apsu Raza, right? So Apsara is the word apis or Apsu, and which is the celestial waters, and Rasa, right? Rasa is even the term for the Etruscans, the Rasna or Rasena or Rasna, right? Rasa means coming from the waters, people of the waters, heavenly waters, right? Birth from the waters, but it's a celestial water, the rasa, right? This is where even Egyptians get the word Ra from. It comes right from all of the Sanskrit, right? When you have in Egyptian, when you have the word or the phrase Amen Ra, right? Which is praising the sun god. Amen Ra, which literally in Egyptian means like the concealment of the sun, the hidden mysteries of the sun. Amen Ra. Right? It's used as homage to the sun. But when they're saying Amen Ra, it which basically means like the hidden mysteries of the sun, but it comes directly from Sanskrit, from Om Rama, right? Amen Ra is from Om Rama. Om Rama is this Om Rama is Amen Ra. It's they even have they're used in the same context, they're used in the same ways, they're derived it's one's derived from the other, right? And the Sanskrit came first. Egyptian is a derivative of the Aryan Sanskrit, right? Just like with the word Osiris is a Greek term for his name, but his real name Osiris is Asar, and Asar comes right from the word Asura, and Asuras are these shining ones that sit on their celestial thrones, and Asar or Osiris is pictured on a throne, and he's a sun god of the night, right? He's the god of the underworld. He's a solar deity of the night, and he's sitting on his celestial throne. It's the same thing, right? The same thing. He's an Asura god. He's a god of the Asura, right? He's the Asar Natar. And that's Osiris's real name, Asar. Right? And it comes right from Vedic, right from the Asura. And Asura comes right from the word as, which means to become, to be, to become like a star, like Aster, right? Asura, Aster, right? Aster means star, right? That word is derived right from the Sanskrit root of as, which means to become, to evolve. It means to be like a star, to shine and evolve, to vibrate on your throne and become a king, right? That's exactly what that word is derived from, right? So, uh, really powerful when you start to see the symbolization and the derivatives of and the root of where we get certain knowledge, right? And the Apsaras are these dancing beings. But let's get into the Apocrypha here. Let's get into how we have the Garuda, right in the second book of Esdras. Really incredible. Uh, just give me a minute too, because I just got to go to the bathroom real quick. We're gonna take a quick little break for 1 second. Guys, give me just 1 minute.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Thank you guys for waiting. Glad you guys are here. Once again, my name is Ra Castaldo. This is the Space Water Podcast, where we dive into the sound of the light. Sunday morning, May 3rd, 2026. You guys, we got all different size water rings as well that you could put around, restructure the water, copper tensors that go around the water bottles. So I even make the advanced, these are feedback loops, first designed by Slim Sperling. These are my own models, and these come with a whole variety of freeform type crystals that go in the center here, custom made to go in the center. I have garden quartz or rutile free forms, I have fire quartz free forms to collect that healing energy in there as well. Piezoelectric material to go inside right here in the U shape right there, or V shape right there that you see right there, which makes it a valve. This is like a valve, right? To pull negative energy out and put positive energy in. Really powerful feedback loop. Who's with me in the chat room? Who we got out there? You guys still with me? We got how many people? We got 20 people. 19 now. 19. Welcome, guys. I hope yeah, thank you, David. Yeah, I tried to explain it where everybody could try to understand, and I think I did a good job. I think they were happy with it. Right. I'm glad. I think I did better on Sam Tripoli's show than I did on the Kurt Mesger show. Kurt Mesger show, I was like on caffeine. I drank like a couple of glasses of tea before, because like the other time that I was on, I noticed that he like goes crazy and rants a lot. So I was like, made sure I was ready to go head to head and keep up with him, because I didn't want him to just cut me off the whole time and rant. Like, what the hell am I coming on the show for if the guy's going to talk the whole time? So I made sure that I kept the control of the conversation with Kurt. So I was I think I did well on his show too as well, but I was like amped up a little bit at first on Kurt's show. But Sam's show was really chill. It came out really well. I was happy with how Sam's show came out. Yeah, I definitely would go back on his show. I would go back on Kurt's show as well. Kurt's going to be coming on my show soon. So he was supposed to come on last weekend, but we both said mess it, because first he was like, yo, like we were going to do it Saturday, and then I didn't want to do it Saturday, and then he wanted to do it Sunday. And then when I was ready to do it, he was like, give me an hour, I'm at the park. And then when he called me back, I didn't answer. So like we missed each other on the Sunday. So we might do it. We might do it this weekend. We'll see what's up. He's pretty much available to do them on weekends. So it'll be one of these weekends where I'll have Kurt on my show. I'll be going on Kurt's show probably again soon, and my family thinks I'm crazy podcast and those. And Sam probably said he said there's an open invitation if I ever want to come back on. So I'll go back on his show probably when I get my book out. That'd be a great time to go back out. Or I make new devices all the time as well, like my heal shields, my inner light activators. So you guys can check that out on my website. I make all these different devices for you guys to wear as well. So hold on, I'll pull it up real quick. I gotta share it. Then we'll get into the second book of Esdras. So this is my website. One of the inner light activators just sold out. I just made this one like 2 days ago. This one sold, so I made another one. These ones are interesting because I just started making these type. These are a regular copper coil, but you can see there's 2 pieces of quartz inside. So the copper coil is essentially squeezing those 2 pieces of quartz together, which opens up the piezoelectric current. It's a soft, it's squeezed tight, but it's like softly rubbing against eternally, right? So you're going to have that inner light activation.
Really cool. You got 2 pieces of Arkansas quartz right there. Polished Arkansas quartz together in the copper coil. And you guys, this is also highly piezoelectric. You got a watermelon tourmaline with the royal cubit twisted copper coil. These are the more powerful ones. And that's a watermelon tourmaline specimen right there, wrapped in the copper coil. That's a great deal. Beautiful piece right there. And you guys, we got all sorts of things, even like gemstones, like opal. This is a black opal gemstone, really high quality, pretty big size too. Doesn't even give it. Let me show you the video so you guys can actually see how cool it is. There's a video somewhere here. Let me see. Here it is. Check this. You guys can see the beautiful colors and the opal. Just incredible. When you move it around like that in the sun or in the light, either inside in the light or outside in the light, it has all these different streams, like aurora colors. This is a black opal specimen. Really cool. Nice size as well. It's got reds and yellows and greens and blues. Crazy. And that's a lifelong companion right there. Beautiful piece. We got skulls. We got everything available for you guys here. I also do custom orders. Beautiful bloodstone. And this is over £1, this skull. And this is master carved. It even has pyrite. Look at the pyrite embedded in there. So the gold right there, as you see, is pyrite. And the bloodstone and pyrite mixed. And this is master carved, master detail. We even made the occipital area carved in the back. Look at this. You see these curves right here? This is the occipital area. When you get it in your hand, you'll feel it. It's made like a real skull in the back. Really incredible bloodstone and pyrite. And you guys can use right now, if you're watching this alive, 20% off. Use the coupon code SPRING20. You can get an extra 20% off. We have a coupon code up on the shop, and I think it's for $10 off. But if you use the coupon code that I'm saying in this live right now, you get an inside access to 20% off already. We already have 50% off some products on here. So you could get, look at this one. This one's from $99 to $59. You can get another 20% off of that with my coupon code. Look at this watermelon tourmaline one. This one's really incredible. That's the pink and watermelon tourmaline. Look at how incredible that one is. Worth every penny. Really big size as well. That's insane. I love this piece. That's one of my favorite pieces. Highly piezoelectric right there. The pink pulsar talisman. We got EMF protection. Look at this one. Shungite. Collector's grade shungite. On sale for $78. You can even get 20% off of that. This piece is incredible. Elite Noble shungite with the royal cubic coil. It's a nice size too. Beautiful. You guys, find everything you want. We even got Italian telepathic tarot readings. Incredible stuff here. This one is sold out. This should be sold out, this one. Yeah, that one is sold out. I got to change that on the website. Pretty sure that one is sold out. I don't know why that went back in stock. Let me check that. I got to check that one. I do have other ones like that to make, but I know that one was purchased. Let me make sure. Checking this out real quick. Yeah, you guys can get the extra 20% off with that coupon code. Yeah, that one is sold out. I don't know why it went back in stock. That's crazy. I just changed it now. Let me make sure the other one's out of stock from that order. That one's freaking... I had to change that one too. Holy crap. What's going on here? Let me make sure these ones... Yeah, I might have put it back in stock by accident that day, actually. Yeah, the other one went out of stock from the other orders. That's crazy. Let me make sure this one went out of stock now. Yeah. All right, we're good. I had to fix something real quick. But yeah, this one, let me refresh it. That one is sold out. Yeah, it says it now, out of stock. But I can make another one like this. I have a few other red jasper gem spheres like that. There's a couple left. I just have to make the copper coil around it. So if anybody's interested in those, I'm going to be making another one soon. I have several of those. These are gem quality red jasper. Really incredible. We have yeah, we got, oh man, some of these are just, I can't believe some of these haven't sold yet. You guys really check this stuff out. I mean, this one, oh, this one just sold the other day, actually. Yeah. This is the Shungite pendulum and the copper coil. I can make another one of those. I have a few pendulums left too. But you guys, look at these combinations right here. This has black tourmaline and Herkimer diamond together. Check that out. This one is black tourmaline. Yeah, black tourmaline and Herkimer diamond. And so is this one. I like the Herkimer diamond in this one. Look at that one. Beautiful. And the black tourmaline. Cool little piece right there. It comes with the necklace material, free gift, and shipping's included. This tower is amazing right here. This fluorite. Look at that bad boy. Look at the quality of that. Insane. Beautiful. And that is Dolmen Ignited at the North Salem, New York Balanced Rock. That's one of a kind right there. On winter solstice, that was charged at the North Salem, New York Balanced Rock. There's so many good choices here, everybody. Like, and you guys, there's free information in the chat in the menu. And if you're looking for specific crystals, there's the drop down menu. You have crystal balls and bracelets, crystals clusters, crystal freeforms, crystal palm stones, skulls, specimens, towers, wands. So if you go to specimens, right, we got all different crystal specimens. This is a specimen that's actually wrapped in a copper coil too, but most of them are not, these are actual specimens. So we got all sorts of incredible specimens here for you. Even an Aura Quartz one. We got one left of the Aura Quartz. Oh yeah, I forgot about the grape after this. This one just sold. This one just sold. This massive fluorite one. This was charged at the North Salem, New York balance rock right here. That day, that's when this was charged. So really beautiful piece. Almost 2 pounds that was too. Yeah, some of these specimens are just incredible. I love the Himalayan quartz, the quality of the Himalayan quartz. These ones are really incredible. And this was dolmen imprinted at the North Salem, New York balance rock. And a lot of the Himalayan quartz, it has that like salt and pepper on the bottom, like underneath of it, like right here. You can tell where it's from sometimes just by certain characteristics. This is apophyllite, really incredible apophyllite. So you guys can check that out. Let me stop sharing here. Boom. Mystical Spiral Store, baby. Who's Ashton Forbes? Orb Genie. I don't know who that is. I don't really watch anybody else's shows, man. I just found out about Kurt Mesger, and when I went on his show, I thought when they told me his name, I thought he was a baseball player from the 90s, Kurt Mesger. I didn't know he was a comedian because I don't follow any of that stuff really. I knew who Sam Tripoli's name was. I had heard his name before on and I think I had tried emailing him a couple of years back, actually. I'm not sure if it was him or not. I think I did try emailing him once because I seen him on like Eddie Bravo or Joe Rogan or somewhere like that. And he was saying he was into some of the things that I was talking about. But I knew who Sam was before, but I had never seen his podcast, like the Tinfoil Hat podcast. I hadn't watched it before. So my episode is really the first episode, the first time I've ever been with any of the guys, I don't know who the two other hosts were. There were two other guys. I think one guy's name was Johnny. I forget what the other guy's name was. But yeah, Sam was cool. I had fun. And I like Kurt a lot too. Me and Kurt been friends ever since I've been on the show. Like we text each other and stuff and talk. He's a good guy. He's funny. I like Kurt. But I appreciate you guys. Nah, I'm good. I don't really need it's better for me to not look at other people's stuff because then I could stay in my own lane. My work is true. That's why it kind of bothers me sometimes when I see some of the things that I came up with, that I figured out, that I created, or that I theorized in other people's work. Because I'm like, damn, I literally thought that up, and now you're people. So it's, but you know what? It's. I guess you got to take it as a form of flattery, and but people nowadays they want to compete instead of work together, collaborate to find the truth. And I don't know why people want to compete. It's all about money. That's what it is. And that's probably one of my flaws. I've never been money minded. You can ask my wife. I'm not like the person who thinks it, like that's one of my issues because I'm never thinking about getting ahead of the game with money. I've never been like that. And it's probably been one of my flaws because I'm not concerned with money. I've never been. If we like, I'm like, do we have enough to eat and this and that, and that's it. That's all I worry about. Like, I'll put myself in debt instead of just to like take care of the people I love instead of like being frugal and trying to. I should probably be different with the way I think about money, but I never cared about it because at a young age I saw people become where money is more important to them than blood. And I saw people lose their minds over money. Like money is like and I didn't like it. At a young age I realized how evil it was and how even families can part over it and people can stop talking to each other in families over it and things like that. I saw it just as a young kid. just in certain things that I witnessed, right? With what was going on in the older people, it was crazy, right? And crazy. It's crazy what people will do just so they can get something and and get something over somebody else. It's crazy. There's only a few things that can divide family, right? There's only a few things, and usually it's like, or if they say like, what's the old term, like, what's two things that can divide brothers, or it's either women or money, right? So that's usually what happens. I'm not saying it happened in my case, but I've seen when I was a young kid, I seen some of the older people in my family and my cousins and my dad's cousins and different like fighting and not talking to each other over buildings and families and monies and like all different things that people fight over, and it's like I was like, damn, how can that stuff become more important than your own family, and I never understood that type of stuff, so I never really focused on that aspect. And unfortunately in our community, money becomes more important to people and how much money they're going to make from doing things, and it becomes like the disclosure community. It's for entertainment. It's about money. It's about, you really think people would be getting paid to sell secrets at conferences, government secrets at conferences? You really think that would happen? I mean, you guys must be more gullible than you realize. You really think the military and the government would let these people go from state to state selling government secrets and getting paid to say these secrets at conferences? It's entertainment. This is the real disclosure. The stuff like me that gets suppressed, people that are trying to stop the information that's coming out that I'm trying to put out, and various other people, because these are talking about the real secrets of our ancestors, where how the universe works, where souls go to when they die, right? How they get here, how the sun and our planet survives and thrives, and how life is transported throughout the universe, right? That's the real disclosure. Not does other life exist out there. We need disclosure. Of course, other life. If there were no aliens, that would be the most insane, incredible, amazing thing, because we would be the most unique people in the universe. That's not. Of course, there's other life out there. Why would we need disclosure for that? Do you see how vast this universe is? Do you think we're the only living intelligence in this whole universe? Why would you need disclosure to tell you that other life is out there? What the hell is that even about? Of course there's other life. There's friggin' just look at all the bacteria flying around space right there. Of course there's life everywhere. The real disclosure is how it's being transported throughout the universe, how we got here, who we are, what our souls are, what is the universe, what is it made of, right? And that's why we're talking about plasma and all the stories that go along with suns and magnetospheres, because that's the real disclosure that we need, because we're a species of plasma just like the sun. We're a fragment of that. We're a fragment of a star. And when we pass, when we're born from the light and the waters, the living light, the watery light. We're born from that as a fire. And then when we pass, we must return to the light. We're a fragment that's temporarily encased in matter. And it's incredible when we talk about the Book of Esdras. So let's get into the second Book of Esdras. I got about 20 minutes left because I have my TIE fight that I go to, Thai Fight International. You guys could check it out, Thai Fight League. It's every Sunday morning in Thailand at about 7:20 Eastern time. It's the Thai Fight League. They actually hemp rope wrapped hands. They fight Thai fight, and there's a tournament that I've been going. I'm in the chat room there. I have fun with a lot of my friends out there. So you guys can check that out. But so the second Esdras 11 and 12. We'll continue this later on because we did most of today the intro into the Garuda. So we're going to show you how the eagle, the Garuda, is in the second book of Esdras. I got 20 minutes to break this down for you guys. He's the solar eagle. Now remember, Garuda is a solar eagle. He's the solar eagle. He's born from the sun. And Solar City Angkor Wat we talked about earlier. But you got Garuda as this solar eagle that is really incredible, and he shows up in described as showing you the cross-cultural parallel now, people, right? Now it's incredible. I'm applying that Garuda Naga framework, the magnetosphere and the Birkeland current solar wind, to the apocryphal vision of the eagle that's represented in the second Esdras 11. And this is a really vivid cross-cultural parallel here of this symbology in mythology and ancient writings to explain plasma cosmology, right? Really incredible. And I'm one of the leading pioneers out there that can break this down because I have that background in the plasma physics and mythology, and I have that intuitive way to be able to connect these things when I really focus on them. And man, did the universe show me some amazing revelations about the second Esdras, right? Really incredible, right? Really incredible. Where's there's what do you say? Crystals glued on rope instead of glass. I don't know what you mean by that. This one is real copper around real aquamarine right here. How's that? I don't know. Yeah, I feel you, David. You know, I once did the containers. There's in Jersey here. There's a place called Rocketdyne, and it's a factory, and they weld the containers for rockets, and then afterwards we got to X-ray the welding. So, yeah, it's pretty good money, but it's a pain in the ass. It's boring. Yeah. So you have this solar eagle that shows up in second book of Esdras, and it spreads its wings over the entire earth. Wow. So if you guys are not familiar with the second book of Esdras, it's one of my favorite apocryphal books. It's describing visions that Esdras is having, right? And it's also a lot of Esdras is talking in the perspective of Moses as well, and God talking and God talking to Moses. So before I pull up the verse, right, you have the eagle represented in the second book of Esdras in the same way that Garuda is represented, right? This eagle in second Esdras, he's got these 12 feathered wings and 3 heads that they describe. Now, Garuda is not described as having 3 heads. That part is a little different, but it's the general description. You'll see what I mean by this spreading its wings as a protector over the earth and all of this. So these 12 wings that's represented in this second book of Esdras eagle, it could represent various things, right? Because there are 12 main subdivisions of the magnetopause area, but it could even represent the 12 wings, could represent the 12-hour diurnal cycle that they have of the magnetic field's rotation that's related to the sun, right? And that would be very related, right? And the 3 heads can even be talked about as that three main regions of the magnetosphere. You have the sunward magnetopause, that's the center, and you have the two magnetotail lobes, the left and the right. Those are the three main regions. So that could be, technically, they look like three heads of the Garuda with his wings as a shield, right? And this eagle literally says, spreads her wings over all of the earth in 2nd Esdras 11:2. This is the magnetosphere surrounding the planet, acting as a shield. Feathered wings that spread its wings over the entire earth. What kind of eagle can spread its wings over the earth? It's not a real eagle. It's a metaphor, an allegory for our magnetosphere, a feathered shield, a protective layers that's around our planet, right? And then 11:2, the winds of heaven blew on her. So you have this you have this eagle that spreads its wings over the entire earth, that the winds of heaven blow on top of. That's incredibly vividly scientifically accurate. This perfectly represents the Birkeland currents, and uh, it perfectly describes the solar wind and the interplanetary magnetic field interacting with the magnetopause, with the day side of the magnetosphere, right? It's like a a wife and husband embrace, right? You have the magnetic field of the solar wind coming from the sun that merges with the magnetic field of the earth, right? And they meet at the sun side magnetopause boundary, and they merge and they get injected and elongate, right? It's like an injection from the sun into the woman eagle, and it elongates, right? It's incredible, right? And it describes intimately the relationship with the interplanetary magnetic field, the solar wind's magnetic field with the Earth's magnetic field, interacting at the magnetopause, the place of Rodasi in Vedic, right? The place of the where the sky and earth meet, the place of Anu, right? And this is even with Enki and Enlil. They're the places where the sky and earth meet. Enki means earth and sky. It's the place, and he's the lord of the celestial waters. It's where the earth and the sky meet, the magnetopause boundary. It's where they meet and merge, right? And they talk about this right in Esdras, where the winds of heaven blows on the eagle that spreads its wings around earth, right? And also they have different regions. You have contrary feathers in the verse and little feathers in 11:3. And this describes the different Berkeley currents, region 1 and 2. You got they break off from the main flow and they appear as these small chaotic regions, right? And there's this battle of wings that appear in Esdras 11:11. It's these opposing wings. They grow and they're trying to rule. And this is that dynamic substorm process where the magnetotail reconnection battles with the dayside compression, the two wings that are battling, right? And then a voice comes from the body of the eagle, right? The voice doesn't come from those three heads of the eagle in Esdras. It comes from the midst of the body, 2nd Esdras 11:10. So this is a stunning match for what's happening in the magnetosphere as the eagle. The heads are the extremities, the polar regions, right? And the magnetopause. The midst of the body where the eagle speaks from is the inner magnetosphere, the plasmasphere, the radiation belts. This is the spot where the voice comes from, the electron chorus. It's not coming from the high altitude aurora head, but from the equatorial region within the inner magnetosphere, where the Whistler mode chorus waves are generated by the plasma instabilities, right? So this is where the body of the Garuda is, the body of the eagle. These waves roar, right? They roar in what they call the VLF, the very low frequencies, right? These are radio range, VLF radio range frequencies, and they are translated into sound, right? So you can look at this as a voice coming from the body of the magnetosphere or the body of the eagle. I mean, it's perfect the way they describe this, incredibly, right? It's describing the lion's roar that they talk about that comes from the middle of the body of the eagle, right? The lion, it's in 1137, Esdras 1137. The lion or the voice in the middle of the body. It represents the magnetosphere's inner core. It calls out to the eagle, which is the overall structure, right? And in second Esdras, they describe these heads and wings as disappearing until only the body remains. This is in Esdras 12, 1 through 3. And this is so accurate, describing the expansion and the contraction phase of the magnetic tail. It's the night side dynamics. It's the heads and the wings, they disappear and only the body remains. It's where the tail stretches, the feathers expand, and the collapses back. It reconnects. It brings the energy back to the body of the magnetosphere. And then in 11.1, they talk about how at the beginning, the eagle comes out of the sea. It comes out of the waters, right? And then it spreads its wings around the whole earth, governed by the winds of the heaven that blows upon it, right? And in heliophysics or heliomythology, that's the interstellar medium, the void, right? The eagle comes out of the sea. It comes out of the primordial chaotic plasma, right? The primordial waters. It's rising from the primordial chaotic waters, the domain of the Naga. The eagle rises from the domain of the Naga, right? Right in the second book of Esdras, you have the Garuda and the Naga, right? And he's rising from the primordial sea from which the ordered magnetosphere Garuda emerges from the chaos to bring order to the chaos, right? And that, like, I'm effectively showing you how second Esdras, which is an apocalyptic vision of the Bible, apocryphal book of the Bible, of a vision that's describing this living dynamic battle of a magnetospheric system, right? It's really incredible. And the eagle is especially given the wings spreading over the whole earth and the interaction with the winds of heaven, which is the solar wind. All of that is vividly pointed out in that book. And the voice coming from the body, the electron chorus and the waves, right? Like I noted before, the voice doesn't come from the heads, it comes from the midst of the body. And now in the magnetosphere, this is incredible because some of the most powerful so-called voices, right? The electromagnetic emissions, they aren't generated at the head. They're generated from deep, deep within the inner magnetosphere. And what they call the plasma sheet, the body, right? From the sheet of plasma. Really incredible, right? And they're describing this, right? And so let me show you. So you got, I'll pull it up online probably too, but like you got the second book of Esdras 11. This is right where, look, right where it all is, right here. Check it out. Where the waters, and he spreads its wings over the whole earth. The winds of heaven blew upon him. See? Okay, so I slept that night. This verse down here. So I slept that night right here. So I slept that night, and the following, he had commanded me, it came to pass on the second night. See, this is at the night side magnetosphere, right? It's telling you, and he spread, and then, and I looked, and behold, he spread his wing, like, there came up out of the sea an eagle. There came up out of the sea an eagle. See, right here, the eagle. And he spread its wings over the whole earth, and the winds of heaven blew upon him. That's where, and the clouds gathered about him. And I looked, and out of his wings grew additional wings, and they became small, dwarfish wings. Those are the little parts of the magnetosphere that grow, the magnetic lobes, right? And the wings that grow other wings. I mean, it's not a real eagle here, people. It's a eagle that spreads its wings over the whole earth and then grows smaller wings within inside of it, right? It's describing our magnetosphere, the Garuda, right? And I saw that everything upon heaven was subject to him. Right? All the waters of heaven are subject to him. And to reign over the earth. And for those who live on it, right? So they're basically saying look, and I behold, the magnetosphere flew with its wings to reign over the earth and over those who live on it. Right? And I saw that everything under the heaven was subject to the magnetosphere, and no one opposed him, nor any creature that was on the earth. And they have the eagle speaking certain instructions, right? And then later on in the second book of Esdras, I'm translating that it is talking about an incredible solar storm that is going to strip the planet of its atmosphere, a beyond Carrington event. Now, it's also talking about how, that it's without the wind, the eagle's wings wouldn't spread over the earth, right? In that part I showed you, right? The eagle spreads its wings over the earth only because the heavenly winds blew upon him, right? So that's describing perfectly how the magnetosphere works. The magnetosphere only spreads its wings over the earth because of the solar wing that gives it the plasma, stretches it out, right? And have that dipole stability that the Garuda brings. And the destruction of the eagle's body at the end of the verse by fire at the end of the vision, it reminds me of an intense heating during a super storm or a super beyond Carrington event, right? What's being described is way beyond the Carrington event. I mean, we're talking about something that is a solar discharge, a solar event, a cannibal bombardment of solar storms that literally strips the planet of its magnetosphere, of its magnetic shield. And its eagle, its Garuda. And it essentially is destroying all life on the planet and all conditions for life to thrive and exist. Really incredible. Now, everybody, you have just stepped inside the Space Water Podcast. You could support me. Join my Substack. Join patreon.com/the mystical spiral for literally a cup of coffee, $2, less than a cup of coffee a month. You could join. You can join for as low as $2 a month on my Patreon. I recommend you support me at the $8 tier, but you get access to most of all my posts at the $2 level as well. And I really appreciate your work. You can contribute and say your opinions and your posts and your research and talk to me about my research. And I share direct access to my upcoming book, information for my upcoming book right on my Patreon with all my book recommendations and all of that up on there. So that's patreon.com/the mystical spiral. Go to the mystical spiral store.com. You guys saw today, I gave you guys this beautiful coupon code. You guys can get 20% off with Spring 20. And there's some products that are even up to 80% off on this website. So check it out, themysticalspiralstore.com. You can also find me right here on the Space Water Podcast every week. Also on Mondays, every other Monday is Megalithic Monday. My co-host is Maria Wheatley. We have one show already in the books. If you guys haven't missed it, if you guys missed it and haven't seen it, check it out in my playlist or in my lives. All my regular videos are live videos. In the videos category, I don't really post that many. All my is in the live section or my short section. So all my main videos we do live. I do my Space Water Podcast live, and we do Megalithic Mondays live. So it's live interactions with you, but there's no editing in me things. I'm doing everything off the cuff right here, live. So, and we have live interaction, right? So what's up, Peaceful Penguin? What's going on, brother? Glad you're here. Glad you're here. So I'll read some of your comments in a second. I got to go in a minute, but so you guys, all live interaction here. We do the Space Water Podcast. I do each and every week, the second Saturday of every month. Gary Wayne is guest. So once a month, Gary Wayne comes on. That's the second Saturday of every month. So Gary Wayne will be on this coming Saturday coming up. Not yesterday. He'll be coming up next Saturday. He'll be coming on, and every other Monday. So the next Monday is that Maria Wheatley will be coming on. We do Megalithic Monday. Will be May 11th, 5/11, and our guest will be Glenn Kreisberg. So Maria and I will be co-hosting, and our guest will be Glenn Kreisberg. It's going to be Megalithic Monday. So you got Megalithic Monday twice a month. We got Space Water Podcast every week, and we got Gary Wayne on once a month as the second Saturday of every month on the Space Water Podcast. So beautiful, beautiful time we're living in, everybody. So be great to each other. Be excellent to each other like Bill and Ted. And what do I always say? Spiral out.